What is up, everybody? We are back in the garden again, and in this video I'm just going to be going over my liquid fertilizer / compost tea recipe. We'll be watering that in, and I'll be giving a general update on everything that we got going on in the garden bed. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or your tea, and let's have some fun in the garden. So there's one thing I haven't fully addressed yet in any of my previous videos, and that is water quality. If you live in anywhere in the US, it's more than likely that your tap water is pretty heavily chlorinated. And the simplest way to fix this is just to prepare your water by leaving it out for 24 to 48 hours ahead of watering. This just allows the chlorine to evaporate off naturally. But if you're working with anything more than just a couple potted plants, you'll probably want to get a filter. Or if you have the system or storage for it, collecting rainwater is great for the plants as well. Bottom line being, plants will always prefer dechlorinated water over tap water, which is why I got this simple garden hose filter here. So now that we know that we're working with clean water, let's go ahead and mix our liquid fertilizer, with the help of my assistant here, of course. We'll be starting off with some Big Bloom from Fox Farms, which is a worm casting and backguano liquid concentrate with a little bit of kelp extract as well. Next up is Trinity from Roots Organics, which acts as food for beneficial bacteria as well as stimulating root growth. It contains kelp extract, yucca extract, molasses, fulvic acid, and humic acid. And speak of the devil, we'll be adding molasses in next. This is a robust molasses, so it contains a relatively high amount of calcium, magnesium, and iron as well as sugars. Next up is arguably our most important ingredient here, Roots Recharge, which is a fungal and beneficial bacteria inoculant. Beneficial fungi and bacteria play an essential role in organic gardening by breaking down our fertilizers and transporting those nutrients directly to the plant's root. So starting off, I like to dissolve the molasses in hot water first because it's kind of a pain in the butt if you try to dissolve it in cold water. And I like to use about a tablespoon per gallon of water, and we'll be using a 2-gallon watering can, so we'll be putting in 2 tablespoons. Now, molasses is slightly acidic, so you do want to be careful with just how much you put in, although molasses is an organic ingredient, so it should be broken down by the microbes and the pH should adjust naturally once poured into the soil. And if you want to avoid any issues with pH altogether with this mix, then you can make a more traditional compost tea, which will adjust the pH over a 24 to 48 hour period by bubbling it and growing that beneficial bacteria population. This is what I normally do and what I've done in the past, but I need to get new air stones to make a proper compost tea. So now we're going in with our second ingredient, Trinity here, also at 1 tablespoon per gallon. And our Big Bloom here is a relatively mild fertilizer, so I usually just eyeball it at about a 1/4 cup per gallon. And our beneficial bacteria inoculant here is relatively concentrated, so I just go with about a 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. And the rest of this mix contains so much food for them that it won't take long for them to multiply rapidly anyway. And now we just add some water. Now you'll see a mix like this froth up pretty quickly, especially if you're aerating it, which I've always assumed to be because of the beneficial bacteria, but if it's for some other reason that I'm unaware of, please let me know down in the comments. Alright, it is now time to catch y'all up on all the plants in the garden bed. Starting off with our zucchini, this is the one that we just recently pruned, although it is already coming back with a vengeance. While it is definitely one of the healthiest and most vigorously growing plants in the garden bed, I just wish it would leave a little space for our baby eggplants here, which are starting to take on a little bit of size now that they have their first true leaves out. I just hope that they have enough root space to get to a decent size eventually, although I know that the zucchini and bok choy will harvest well before they mature, so once those are out of the garden bed, they should have plenty of space. Moving on to our pork chop tomatoes. These have definitely been one of the faster growing plants in the garden bed, although I think they grew a little too fast for their own good because they started to grow up into the light and their leaves started to bleach and curl just a little bit. So I dimmed the light down as well as raised it up a few inches to help ease their pain a bit. Our bok choy are also looking really good and should honestly be ready to harvest in a couple weeks to a month, at least the biggest one here. You can probably just chalk it up to them being different phenotypes, but we have 3 bok choy in the garden and we have 3 different rates of growth going on as well. The first 2 are almost the same size, but our runt in the back here has been growing at an extremely slow rate. It hasn't shown any signs of any kind of deficiency or disease, but it's just taking its sweet time, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that. Our death spiral peppers are also taking their sweet time, which I now understand is actually quite normal for pepper seedlings. These little guys are also a little limited on root space, so only time will tell to see how big they get, but either way, I think they'll do alright. Looking at our ananas noir tomatoes next, these guys also got a little scorched by our light hanging overhead, although I think they should pull through just fine since I adjusted the light and also after I gave them their first dose of liquid fertilizer. Checking in on our Lesia pepper seedlings. These were our last seedlings to germinate, if you remember correctly, so they are still fairly small, but they're looking pretty healthy nonetheless. And this guy over here is actually a surprise sprout. One of the seeds probably just fell into the bed, so I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I'm 99% sure it's a Lesia. And last but not least, we have our Jimmy Nardello peppers, which were the first peppers to germinate, and they are looking as healthy and green as ever. They are growing a little slowly, which I guess is just what peppers do, but they're looking very happy and healthy. So the time has come to water in our liquid fertilizer, so please join me in just admiring these lovely plants. So that is going to conclude this video from Leoncio's garden. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I really hope you guys had just as much fun watching me care for my plants as I do caring for them. And if you feel like being charitable today, please feel free to leave a like or a comment on this video for the YouTube algorithm. It not only lets YouTube know that you guys like the content that I'm putting out, but it lets me know that you guys like my content so that I can keep striving to make better and better videos. So let me know down below. What do you want to see me do in my garden next, and what are you doing differently in your garden? Also, if you're into a certain type of flower, make sure to stay tuned for an update on my indoor autoflower grow coming soon. But for now, I'll just sign off with a thanks for watching. Now go have some fun in your garden. Peace.